Hello, Richard the Dick Coughlin 616, how are you? So, a couple of days ago, here in Scotland, it was really hot, not joking. Blue skies, clear blue skies, really hot, people were getting tanned on the way, just popping out to the shops, couldn't go out with a jacket on, it was really uncomfortable, hot and sweaty, and that was 2-3 days ago, and I wake up today and this is what I see. This is not a video effect, right? Climate change for the win. Anyway, moving on to the actual point of this video. Now, as we all know, when it comes to extremism on any form whatsoever, whether it's political or religious, there's always a certain amount of unintended irony and hilarity that ensues simply by the people being too stupid to understand that what they're doing is self-contradictory. Now, I talk a lot about the English Defence League, and there's a lot of extremism within there that in itself is ironic and unintentionally hilarious. For example, Tommy Robinson is against Sharia law and Islam because of the way it treats women. However, ironically, under Sharia law, he would have been able to have beat his wife without getting in trouble with the police. And more recently, the EDL actually had an international march. Yes, they decided to go to Denmark. Now, if you can't see what's so funny about the fact that the English Defence League have gone to Denmark in order to tell them to stop letting foreigners go over there and telling them what to do, you're probably stupid enough to be an English Defence League member. But those are normal forms of irony and unintentional hilarity within extremism. Recently a story broke that I think has taken it to a level, to the point where I think it's safe to say that extremism has jumped the shark. It's just gone too far now. Let me paint a hypothetical scenario for you, if you will. Let's say Pat Condell goes out on a massive killing rampage with a gun, right, which he will do, right, you heard it here first, right, and he goes to the Liberal Democrat conference, right, or some wishy-washy leftist, cultural Marxist fucking butt orgy, whatever. He goes there and he massacres a load of fucking people, and he does it because these people, right, he believes these people are the reason that the Islamic fundamentaloids are taking over the country that he loves so dearly. And then he gets arrested, right, obviously taken, locked up, and he has to stand trial for the murders that he has committed in the name of this cause, right? And his defence team of lawyers call to speak on his behalf Anjem Choudhury from now illegal organisation Islam for UK. Sounds crazy, doesn't it? However, not so much. As I'm sure you remember, back in the middle of last year, there was a massacre in Norway conducted by a guy called Anders Breivik, who, setting off explosives and went to a political youth camp, killed a total of 77 people. Well, he is currently standing trial for his crimes. And this is what's the interesting bit. His defence team have just called to defend Anders Breivik 3 Islamic extremists who currently reside in Denmark. The idea behind it is this: Anders Breivik did what he did because he believed that the Muslims were coming to take over and dominate the West. And he blamed leftists for this, therefore leftists must die. It's a wonderfully heroic act on his part. And they are calling these 3 Islamic extremists to his defence because they are as crazy as him and believe that they can, in fact, take over the West. And that's why they're being called to defend him, to say that the reasons he did it are actually real. One of the guys who's called to defend him is a wonderful chap by the name of Mullah Krekar, release the Krekar, who's actually head of a small little, irrelevant Norwegian fuckfest Islamic group, who I've spoken to people in Norway, who is borderline irrelevant over there, much like Anjem Choudhury is borderline irrelevant over here. But here's the funny part: he's calling this guy to defend Anders Breivik on the count that this guy is proof that the Muslims are coming over here and taking over. There's one problem that he might come across, and that is the fact that Mullah Krekar is currently in prison. In fact, he was sentenced to prison for 5 years, 2 days before they announced he was going to be called to defend Anders Breivik. So, good job in taking over, Sunshine. You've been arrested and sent to prison. That's not really helpful to your case, is it? And what was he sent to prison for? For sending death threats. What does it even matter if it was true? This man killed 77 people. What, you think you're going to get one bearded nutter to agree with you? Right? And the judge is suddenly going to go, oh, I see. Oh, we are being I had no idea. Oh, Anders, off you go, mate. 77 people, most of whom were children. It doesn't matter, because the Moslamic fundamentaloids are here. And they must be, because this fucking Fruit Loop has just confirmed it. And it's a completely rational reason to do it. So what I'm going to do is, this is what I'm going to do. I'm definitely going to do this. This is not a joke. I'm going to go to America, get a gun, which is really easy. I've seen it in films, right? I've watched Michael Moore documentaries. I know it's easy to get a gun. I'm just going to go to McDonald's and buy one or something. And I'm going to go there, and I'm going to go to a Tea Party rally. There'll be loads of Christian retards there, and I'm just going to go... And then I'm going to get a gun and shoot them. And when I get arrested and sent to court, all I'm going to do is I'm going to get my attorneys to say, right, we want to call to the stand Brian Fisher, Pat Robertson, and basically most of the AFA, Kirk Cameron. We're going to call all these guys in, and we're going to get them as my defence. Because the reason I did it because the Christians, the Christian Dominionists are taking over, right? And they must be because, like, how do you explain this clip from Brian Fisher?
Now, some well-meaning Christians say we shouldn't be involved in politics because politics is so messy. I pastored for 25 years. I was very involved in our state legislature, and I can tell you as a matter of fact that I never saw anything as messy in the legislature as what I saw in the church. So if the fact that something is messy is a reason not to be involved, we ought to stop going to church tomorrow. In fact, the fact that it's messy, to me, is a reason for Christians to be involved. We need to send people of faith in there to clean that mess up.
He's saying there, the government needs to be Christian. In this clip, he says the president needs to be Christian.
But what the scriptures are anxious to say, it's far more important that we be spiritually strong as a nation than that we be militarily strong. It's not enough to be militarily strong. If we are militarily strong, but we are spiritually weak as a nation, we are going to go down. And that's why it's critical, I believe, to have a commander-in-chief who is a Christian-in-chief first and then is our commander-in-chief.
That's pretty much it, isn't it? Now, Pat Robertson might be a difficult one because he likes to claim that he doesn't know what a dominionist is.
Are you a dominionist, or do you believe Jesus is bringing in the kingdom?
What in heaven's name is a dominionist? Whatever it is, I don't think I'm one of them.
I think you'd know if you were, perhaps.
However, in a link below to the ChristianBroadcastNetwork.com site, you can see a speech and a lecture by Pat Robertson in which he talks about fucking dominionism. The American Family Association have promoted dominionism.
Now, you talk about the 7 mountains of culture. And our need to basically retake those hills.
I've done it all the fucking time, right? Even the English Defence League themselves and the BNP promote dominionism by saying they want this to be they want to create everything a Christian, it's got to be Christian, it's got to be white and Christian, Christian, but mainly white, but Christian, right? They do this all the fucking time. If Anders Breivik can kill 77 people and justify it with a few fucking lunatics, right? Muslim lunatics, by saying, look, there it is, I should be able to set an atomic bomb off in fucking America and get away with it by that logic. This is evidence to something I've said all along and something I truly believe to be the case, where extremism needs extremism on the opposite side. They need these groups, these Islamic fundamentalists and these anti-Islamic fundamentalists, if you will, these nationalists, these Christian fundamentalist nationalists, and they need each other. Right? If anything, they are responsible for feeding the others and making their cause grow. Right? If it wasn't for idiots like the EDL and Anders Breivik and all these fucking other wankers and the BNP, then you wouldn't have probably as many Islamic extremists if you were. And if it wasn't for the Islamic extremists, you probably wouldn't have as many BNP and EDL and fucking lunatic. They need each other. But not only that, recently a document was released, and I'll even link to this below, in an article in The Guardian about a guy called Alan Lake, who's one of the founding members of the EDL. He actually wrote on a website about how the Islamic enclaves will come, and how he then encouraged people to post lists of who should be sent to these Islamic enclaves to face death, right? And he put all the liberals should be sent there. He also said the Archbishop of Canterbury and David Cameron, but who gives a fuck about them? But he said all these liberals should be sent to these Islamic enclaves when they appear so they can be killed. And if they're not killed, they'll at least join us, right? That says to me that this guy doesn't just believe this, he actually wants it to be true. It's like a religion. He's invested so much of himself and his life in this that it has to be true. So he's going to make it come true, come hell or high water. Because he'd rather bring in Armageddon than risk the humiliation of living in a world that's not as scary as he thought it was, but he has to be wrong. And that is the craziest thing of all. Richard the Dick Coughlin, 616. Good night, may God bless.